What's up, guys? Jordan here from Show Me Vegas. Hey, it's Monday again. Time to get you caught up with what's going on this week in Vegas. All right, probably the biggest news to come out this week in Vegas is that MGM Resorts is completely revamping their Players Club. Now, if you've been around, you've stayed at MGM Resorts before or played at them, you know that their Players Club was known as Mlife, and it stretches across all of their properties, not just in Vegas, but all across the world. But they're pretty much revamping the entire program, and in doing so, they're going to change the way you earn tier credits, not only through gambling, but through spending as well. Now, I feel like the way they rolled this thing out was completely clunky and didn't make any sense whatsoever. What broke first was that they were going to reduce your earning potential on spending at the resorts, on hotels and restaurants and retail, from 25 tier credits per dollar spent all the way down to 4. And that news came out all by itself and generated a ton of bad publicity. I have no idea why they chose to do it that way. They let that leak out before they told everybody exactly what else was going to happen with the tiers. And in doing so, I think that created a lot of bad publicity that we later found out is not as bad as it first sounded. Now, the number one thing most people wanted to know when this news broke was, are they going to change the requirements to get to the various tiers? In other words, is it still going to take 200,000 tier credits to reach platinum? Now, that didn't come out right away, but a couple of days later, we did find out that yes, indeed, it is going to take the same number of tier credits to get to the various tiers. Now, here are the new perks that come with the new MGM Rewards program that begins February 1st of 2022. If you're Pearl, which still will take 20,000 tier credits to attain, you'll get invitations to member-only events, tournaments, and promotions, complimentary self-parking, that's not changing, complimentary tickets to select exclusive MGM Rewards concerts in Las Vegas. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I don't know what those events could possibly be. If you're Gold, you'll get everything Pearl members get, plus you will get your resort fee waived for up to 2 rooms. Now, I'm hearing that that can be for 4 nights at a time. That is a huge perk, and that kind of mirrors what Caesars Rewards currently does for their Diamond members. Getting that resort fee waived is a huge deal, and that's just on Gold level. Still 75,000 tier credits to get to Gold. You'll also get annually a $100 tier achievement celebration dining experience, so essentially a dining credit of $100 whenever you reach your Gold tier. And complimentary room upgrade at check-in based on availability. That's something that you get already, and they're not always available, so that's not guaranteed. Now, if you're Platinum, still takes 200,000 tier credits to get there, but you might qualify for up to $600 in air travel credit, a $200 dining experience when you reach Platinum, and an annual complimentary cruise for qualifying members on Royal Caribbean or Celebrity Cruises. That's a perk that Platinum members already get. And then, of course, there's Noir, and we don't really even need to worry about that because if you're Noir, those perks probably don't matter to you. You're probably getting treated pretty well. Noir, if you're familiar with Mlife currently, is by invitation only, and it takes an insane amount of gambling to get there. We've heard in the past it's something like 2 million tier credits to get considered to be invited to be part of that tier, so not even going to worry about that. So on the face, a lot of people are unhappy with this new change to Mlife, but that's basically because they're not allowing you anymore to just buy your way up the tiers as easily as they did before. Personally, we were Mlife Platinum, and we're probably not going to reach that this time around, but we'll remain Gold easily because we've got the Mlife credit card. We still earn tier credits on the money that we spend on that credit card. And with 4 tier credits per dollar spent at MGM Resorts, in addition to the tier credits we already get from our credit card, we're going to make Gold no problem. I don't care personally whether we're Gold or Platinum. Those tiers really were just window dressing in the past. I think people felt like they'd achieve some sort of status if they were Platinum. And if you're like us, you didn't earn it by gambling whatsoever. You earned it by spending your way there. So this change is really about catering back to gamblers again and not just leisure guests. That's essentially what they're doing, is revamping this Players Club to be a true Players Club now, to where if you want to get to Platinum, you're going to have to really gamble your way there. And if you gamble your way to Platinum, you're putting a lot of money through the machines. Speaking of that, they're also changing the way that you earn tier credits and points at the machines. No longer is it going to be based strictly on coin in. It's going to be based on your average bet and the amount of time you play, which really that's just another way of saying the same thing. Although it does leave it a lot cloudier as to exactly how much you need to play. How often do you need to push the button if you're, say, spending $3 a spin? Do you need to hit that button 3 times a minute? Do you need to hit it 1 time a minute? It just makes it a little bit more murky, and I think that's on purpose. They want to make it a little bit more difficult probably to figure out exactly how much you need to gamble during those tier credits. That is what it is, but I think this is a positive change for the MGM Rewards program. I think the gold perks with the new program are better than the platinum perks under the old program. So as long as you can earn your way up to gold, you're going to be sitting pretty now with your waived resort fees, which is a big deal. For somebody like us, we probably spend 12 to 15 nights in an MGM Resorts property in Las Vegas per year, and we pay on average about $45 a night in resort fees for all of those nights. Those currently aren't comped with our gaming offers, and now in the future, as long as we're gold, they'll be automatically comped. So I think this is a positive change. So long as you're gold or above, I think you're going to see a lot better benefits under this program than under the Mlife program. And don't forget, your room offers are strictly based on your gambling anyway. They have nothing to do with your tiers, whether you're platinum, whether you're gold. Your gaming offers are strictly based on your gaming. And so if you gamble the same as you used to, you'll probably continue to receive the same room offers that you used to. So I'm looking forward to it. We have one more trip to go in January. We'll try to get back to platinum on this trip before they institute these changes. Hopefully we can. That way we could reap those platinum benefits for at least 1 year before we drop back down to gold. Also in Vegas this past week, it was CES week in Las Vegas. CES is the Consumer Electronics Show. It's one of the biggest conventions. I think it typically is the largest convention that's held in Vegas every year. It's always in the first or second week of January, and it draws huge crowds normally, and room rates go crazy during the week of CES every year. What happened again this year for the first time since COVID, it was canceled in person last year, and they held it in person again this year with pretty strict COVID protocols. But attendance was down more than 75% from prior years. They estimated approximately 40,000 people attended the convention this year, whereas it normally draws anywhere from 160 to 170,000 attendees. It was kind of the perfect storm of bad conditions for it this year. It was already planned, and then the latest COVID surge kind of came and I think scared a lot of people off. They did have a lot of exhibitors pull out just recently, just before the show, and then I think a lot of people decided to stay home given the new COVID surge and probably flight cancellations. Now, speaking of the COVID surge, it's probably happening. If you live in the United States, it's probably happening where you live as well. Vegas is certainly not immune to it. Las Vegas just set its record for single-day COVID cases on Friday. They don't report over the weekend, so Friday was the most recent day I could find. 6,110 cases in Clark County on Friday. That shattered the single-day record, which was set the previous day of just 3,508. I would imagine Saturday and Sunday are going to show even higher numbers because, as we've seen, this thing is spiking at a rapid pace. No new COVID restrictions have been announced in Las Vegas, and quite frankly, I don't expect any at this point. I think we're going to continue on with the mask mandate, and the restrictions are probably going to remain about the same as they are now, and hopefully we can just weather the surge that way. Now also, just like everywhere else in the country, this COVID surge is causing tons of flight cancellations in Las Vegas. As you may know, there have been 14 consecutive days in the United States with more than 1,000 flight cancellations, and Las Vegas is seeing its fair share of those cancellations. In fact, on Sunday, FlightAware was reporting that 66 cancellations and 65 delays affected Harry Reid International Airport. They're pretty well spread out amongst the major carriers, so odds of you being able to fly in or out of Las Vegas are probably no different than they are your local airport. This is obviously concerning us because we have a trip scheduled to Las Vegas on the 23rd. Hopefully we hit some kind of peak on COVID and it starts to trend back down. Otherwise, a flight cancellation might really wreck our plans. Now, speaking of Harry Reid International Airport, we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Just days after McCarran Airport was renamed Harry Reid International Airport, Harry Reid himself passed away after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. If you're not familiar, we did have some comments asking who Harry Reid was. Harry Reid was Nevada's longest serving senator, U.S. senator. People both in Nevada and outside Nevada had strong feelings about Harry Reid one way or the other. We don't need to get into that, but he was pretty revered in the Democratic Party. In fact, this week in Las Vegas, they held a memorial service at the Smith Center in Las Vegas, and it was attended by pretty much the who's who of the Democratic Party. President Joe Biden was there. Former President Barack Obama was there. all to pay their respects to Harry Reid. Harry Reid served on the Nevada Gaming Commission back in the late 70s, early 80s, whenever the mob was still heavily involved in Las Vegas casinos. As a matter of fact, if you've seen the movie Casino, then there's a character in that movie based on Harry Reid. He's played by Dick Smothers, and he's just known as the Senator. He was the chair of the Nevada Gaming Commission whenever Lefty Rosenthal was denied his gaming license. Lefty Rosenthal was, of course, played by Robert De Niro in the movie Casino. His name in the movie is Sam Rothstein. Harry Reid one time said that the only person he was ever afraid of was Lefty Rosenthal. I read that in an article after he passed away, and I found that pretty interesting, because that just goes to show you how heavy the mob's influence was in Las Vegas, in the Nevada gaming community back in the late 70s and early 80s. Anyway, that's it for this episode of This Week in Vegas. I hope you found it informative. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, go back through our old content. There's plenty of these vlogs and other stuff out there. But for now, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.